Hello everybody, this is Ray, and I had the opportunity to visit with Howard Brodsly of Israel, and I wanted to share it with you. We talk about how he got his start in real estate, what the market was like last year, and what the coronavirus pandemic has done to his business so far. We'll also talk about how he's preparing and where he thinks it's going to go, and how the economy might be different there when they come out. So I hope you pick up some really valuable tips from this interview with Howard.
Hello, everybody. I have a special treat for you today. I'm here with Howard Brodsly. He is in Israel, and he's a real estate agent. And I guess we met online first, right?
We met online first before we met face to face.
And then we got to meet at the summit, at Tom Ferry Summit in Vegas.
No, I didn't go to the Vegas one, to Anaheim's. We met twice in Anaheim.
That's right. That's right. So he's a really cool guy. I wanted to talk to him because everyone around the country is at different stages of lockdown when they're talking about the COVID-19 and the outbreak and what's going on. And I just kind of thought some of the conversations we had offline were interesting. And I wanted to ask you so that you could tell us kind of what's happening there, what's happening in your area. But before we get into all that, your name, we were just talking about this, is Howard Brodsly.
Harel, yeah, exactly.
Harel. So what's the deal with the W's in
every language? You have like certain letters in the alphabet, and there's no W in the middle of a word. So Israelis would have said Harvard, which is maybe university, or how weird is how weird you are. And so, and it was so when I'm married to my wife is from Israel as well. Is already born. So when we met and started dating, I added an additional name. So in Israel, it's Howard Harel on my documents. So I have a split personality, as I'm telling you. In English, I go by Howard. In Hebrew, I go by Harel. And I answer to hey, you as well. And
you could be called a lot worse, I guess.
I have been.
So tell me about when you started real estate.
I started in real estate about going to my fifth year, March of 2016. I was in the pharmaceutical industry before that. Sometimes you find jobs disappear. Happens sometimes. Right. So I just take all my knowledge of sales and marketing and people management, and I took that and migrated into the real estate business.
Wow. And which company are you with now?
I'm with a Remax franchise, Remax Israel. In one of the offices. We have 6 offices in Haifa. Mm-hmm. I'm in one of the offices.
And so what was whenever you first started in real estate, what was the market like?
I think the market was it was still a seller's market to some extent. I remember for one of my homes I had on exclusivity, I would have showings. Again, each market's a little bit different, but I'd be able to show the home every week and have 3 to 4 people back to back seeing in a home. I'd schedule it, say, from 2:30, 3 o'clock, 3:30, and 4 in the afternoon to show a home. Nowadays, it's more of a buyer's market. There's a lot less buyers in the market and a little bit more picky on what they're doing. And sometimes you'd want to have 2 customers meeting back to back, so they go, wait, maybe someone else wants the home.
Right.
If I can get one person a week at any of my homes, I'm going to say thank you. And I've actually increased my marketing spend and my marketing presence in more different venues than I was doing when I started.
So when you first started, it was more of a seller's market. And then now, in just 5 years later, it's become a pretty heavy buyer's market, limited inventory.
Yeah, the limited inventory as well, the limited customers. The government made action felt that the prices of homes were too expensive. So they were generating new builds, a couple of things with something that's called Tama 2, whatever. And the thing was they wanted to get homes. There's very few single family structures in Israel. Most of them are multi-family structures. In between, would say 4 maybe to 100. Okay, if it's a tower. But the older ones of the 50s, which aren't earthquake sound. They don't have elevators. They don't have shelter rooms because we've had missiles and rocket attacks. So you have instead of going to a bomb shelter, you go to a shelter room now. So they either put these onto the homes and allow them to build 2 additional floors, or they take the home, drop the home, and build a whole brand new building. And one of the reasons they did this was to increase the number of homes. So you have more homes in the market, more structures. That's one thing. They're building homes for young couples at a lower price. And so they're doing all these different incentives to make the prices go down. And they have. The sellers don't realize that what they were making before, what they were able to sell before, is not what they can sell now. And they keep on insisting our homes are worth more. And when you're trying to say, well, there's four ways the pricing is based on four different things. One on the historical data, two, what's for being sold at the same time, the motivation of the seller if he really wants to sell, and how much the buyer's in love with the house the same way you are. And it's the buyer who still drives the final price. The seller has to agree. But if the buyer is not willing to put up a price quote that you want, you're not going to sell your house. If you stand on your head and sing whatever you want to sing, it's not going to go.
Yeah. So this year, kind of what was your business like a couple of months ago?
It was busier. We've had, it's been a weird year. 2019 was my best year. But about a year ago, there was difference of opinions in the government. So the government decided to dissolve itself, and we went to elections.
Wow.
Well, Israel is a coalition government, which means you have one party is supposed to form the government. He becomes the prime minister, the head of the party, and you get all the other parties to support you and back you. So April 2019, we went to elections, and there was no final decision. The country was split. You know, you haven't heard that things like that in the States by any chance, being split.
Right, yeah.
But so the decision, that they had been able to form a government in 2019. So went to elections again in the fall of 2019, and by chance, nope, they couldn't get a decision made. So we just had recent elections, like about, I think it's 3 weeks ago now, and they still have not been able to form a coalition and all that. So we've had temporary government, continuation of the previous government, which means there's no major decisions being going. And so the buyers and the sellers are both sitting on the fence. I joke and I said they both have hemorrhoids, and they're afraid to get off. They don't know who's going to get off first. And then we've had a really bad winter. We've had rains off and on. It's like one of the wettest winters we've had in a long time. So the buyer's motivation is down. Who wants to go out and look at a home in the rain? And now we have this. Someone out and opened up the Corona beer factory. And now we have this. I would have to change the name of that beer to something else. But
what stage of the outbreak are you in? Where is
we're lockdown? I think we're saying that's the term used in the States.
Yeah.
The past week, the government's been obviously we were social distancing. I think as of last Saturday, they closed all the shopping malls. Malls are not allowed to be open. Restaurants can only have takeaway or delivery. Pharmacies are open, obviously. Gas stations are open. But companies we were at a point where we weren't allowed to have more than 100 people in anything. So if you had a wedding for 400 people, only 100 can come. And then in the middle of the week became like 10 people. And now I think it's down to 5. Wow. That's called a social distancing. So we're at and then last night, I guess it was, since people weren't observing enough of the social distancing, the government decided, well, we'll have to make this official and not make it voluntarily. So you're not going to get shot walking in the streets, but you might get a ticket at one point, a penalty fine. That's one thing. If you have the disease, let's say if you have the virus, the government has allowed using technology for tracking the criminals or the terrorists. So now it's to track someone who has the coronavirus.
Wow.
So if you have a virus and the two of us walk by, our cell phones have been in the same coordinates for the same time for more than 2 minutes, I'm going to get a note, a WhatsApp on my phone or a message. You have passed the proximity of an infected person. Please report here so we can take a blood test to see if you're contagious or not. And stay at home, whatever. And
so they basically use the cell phones of the person with the coronavirus. They put something on that then alerts people around.
It's all on the internet. It's using terrorist tracking technology.
Wow.
And it's been approved by the And that's like you're talking about. We have this, and this one has the same protection rights as we have in the Constitution of the U.S. So, which is this unconstitutional? Well, the Israeli Supreme Court says we can do it temporarily because we're in a crisis situation, and what the country's trying to do is not find themselves in the same situation that Italy's is or Spain. Italy, they have people dying every day. Knock on plastic. In Israel, we haven't. I'm going to be careful when I say this, but we haven't had that first death yet. We have 2 or 3 that might be close to it, but they've been, and they're trying to flatten out that peak, as I keep on saying. You spike, and then you want to flatten out the number of patients. Most likely, what the data shows that the disease is a process. If we can slow down the process, the hospitals can manage more people.
Right.
Because in going back to Italy has declared that over the age of 80, don't even ask for a breathing apparatus, a ventilator. You're not going to get one. You're just going to say your prayers, and that's it.
Wow.
And so they're trying to prevent us. The government's trying to prevent us from being in a situation where doctors will have to make a decision who lives and who dies, and that's sad. That's hard on the soul.
So, what's life like for you personally?
Well, yesterday morning I decided to jump to the office because I needed to get my external hard drive, and they go, "Oh, I'll go to them." I went before anyone opened at 7 in, early bird, in the market next to my office. I go, "I'll go to the market and buy some eggs." It's like I have to have eggs now. So I don't know why. I'm not hoarding, but you're afraid you don't have enough food. Yes. I'm not hoarding, but I'm afraid I only have one package that's 20 rolls of toilet paper. I don't have 20 boxes of toilet paper.
Did people buy a lot of toilet paper there too?
As a result of what's going on in the States, until you see these things on the news, they go, toilet paper. It's not excuse my, pardon my French, shit more. It's a respiratory disease. It's not a dysentery disease. But so there's less alcohol wipes or gloves or the masks are harder. They're in there, but they get sold quite fast. But the markets are being shelved and stocked. And even last Saturday when the first announcement came out, and then you get a message from the supermarket chain saying we're going to open our doors until the last buyer leaves the store. And there was some emptying of some stores. My daughter in Tel Aviv says, I couldn't find eggs, I couldn't find meat. The next morning I woke up early with my shopping bags and before I went to the office, I went to go to the supermarket. It was almost everything there. So there's no lack of food, and there's no lack of pharmaceuticals, and there's enough
supply chain in Israel is still working. They're still getting.
Well, I wouldn't even say it's working. I think when you say still working means it can collapse. That's when if supply chains collapse and you have social anarchy.
Right.
And because maybe of our environment and the different shit that hits the fan that we've had over the years, from the day of the country's conception until 2020, we're used to some hard times and kind of roll with the punches and breathe deep. And I honestly believe that we will not have a problem with our supply chain. Mm-hmm. There might be some limitations, okay, but but there's plenty of food and the markets are full and supermarket employees have to go to work unless they're sick, but it's not a job where you can stay home and watch TV.
So what are some of the things that you're recommending to your clients right now?
Well, it's a hard call. My clients, basically, there's not too much I can recommend, honestly, because, I'm not going to bring anyone to a home with the buyer. The sellers still live at the home. And as it is, my kids say, Dad, I'm 62, so I'm in the risk age already. So my kids said, please do not go out and work. So basically, I'm in the process of transitioning to a digital more. We're on a Zoom call at the moment, so I'll be practicing more getting into Zoom calls with my buyers and my sellers.
Yeah.
Just taking into account, just saying, well, we're in a weird thing, and just we have to go with the flow. Now, if I'm getting phone calls, I'm discussing with taking names down, and we're discussing it. I'm sending links with photos and all that, like a further follow up. One of the calls I had this noontime, I've actually a buyer we've met like a year and a half ago, and he saw one of my ads, and he's an insurance agent. He's already there. He's doing his phone calls on Zoom, and he's signing digital. And so I just brainstormed with him after we discussed the home. I go, okay, let's discuss what's your job and how you're working it out. So it's going to be, I'm going to be shifting to digital and do more virtual and just keeping a virtual presence, I think, right? Because, the question is, if you're in a lockdown and you're afraid of Armageddon and the zombies and people, let's go out and buy 20 shotguns and 2,000 rounds to protect the old homestead, are you really thinking about going out and buying and selling your home? I don't know. So I'm just trying to just to keep a market presence. I've done 3 different Facebook Lives, short ones, about just I was supposed to have an open house today. I canceled. I saw this coming on Sunday. After I went out to 20,000 flyers distributed. I stopped it after an hour after the start. So I got 5,000 were distributed. So I got a phone calls from the 5,000, which means it's good. This is a good property. But I've been discussing. Okay, no, there's no open house. Let's discuss the home. I've done that twice.
Right.
So I'm just going to do more sessions. I was just right before you. I was watching the tail end of a colleague. I don't know if you know Pinky from Florida. Pinky sells. She is. Sue, I think so. God, I know her by Pinky. But she was discussing.
I think I know her.
She was doing a small presentation on Instagram Live, how she does her virtual listings. So we're just going to more and more virtual listings and just do it that way and just see how things, just to have a presence. And then obviously, my colleagues and you guys aren't in a lockdown. I don't know if you go to homes with a mask. I don't know if you go to homes with gloves. I don't know if someone walks by and they cough like this or they cough like this.
Yeah.
I think it's going to hit the U.S. psychologically. I don't think you're prepared for it. It's not the end of the world. China's coming out of it. South Korea's coming out. There's a peak. There might be a second peak. I don't know. These things only have a second wave as well.
Have y'all had anything like this that you could compare to in the past that you were going through in Israel? Is there?
Well, 2 things. One we'll discuss was the 2008 financial collapse, and then I'll also discuss maybe the SARS or the pig virus. I think it was the swine virus that we had a couple of years ago.
Swine flu, yeah.
The swine flu. Swine flu was very good. People were dying. I think the SARS people were dying. I used to work for Johnson & Johnson at the time, so we had these contingency plans. How to prevent. I remember working with, I think the swine flu. I had to go out and I was instructed and just didn't do it, but I was instructed to buy 3 months supplies of filter masks for 3 times a day for every employee in the organization. I go, dang, that's expensive. And what happens if we live? What do we do with it? I mean, it was like the number of masks I was ordering. So I went out and bought 10 days for 30% of the employees, changing once a day. And they weren't used. But the psychological thing, as far as with 2008, Israel was able to manage the process and came out stronger. If I go back with, say, the Gulf War of 1991,
right?
I was a product manager, and I remember my general manager. This was like in February, March. It was much after, mid-February, just after the war ended. He goes, "Your sales are down. You're not making forecasts." And I go, "Didn't we just come out of a war? We had Scud missiles landing at you. You weren't really thinking about buying an antihistamine, were you?" But we made forecasts, and within a year, people forgot there was a war. Within the crisis, 2008, 2009, within a year, people forgot there was a financial crisis. We've had,
do you think
several different things.
Do you think that this is similar to those situations? Do you think it's drastically different?
As far as the psyche is concerned, the emotional aspect, it's similar, because it's also it's stress. So I haven't left my house since yesterday morning. I can't say I have cabin fever, but no. But I'm working at it. We'll see who kills each other first. My wife kills me. My wife, I kill my wife. No, we might. No, but emotionally, it is stress because there's like this not knowing what's going to happen. Do I have a business the next day? How do I wake up, I get dressed, I go to the bedroom where I have my laptop, and I start working, not making phone calls, but I'm just like reviewing the processes, trying to map out how I want to do my business. So you ask me if it's similar psychologically. It is. None of us have ever experienced a pandemic, and it's like the movies. Don't watch the Dustin Hoffman movie with the Ebola, and don't watch because you often you'll freak yourself out. Yeah. But I think I think that if the governments and the people take responsibility, it's going to pass. There might be some behavior changes and all that. There will be a vaccine. Personally, I grew up in the pharmaceutical industry, so I believe there'll be a vaccine. I think there'll be a cure. Too many teams are working on this at the same time. Right. So there will be several different options to help us in the future.
So when that does happen, when there is a vaccine or there's something out there to help people and start to move past it, what do you think is going to happen to the market at that moment? I think it will burst. I think it will burst. In a good way?
In a good way. Not to burst the bubble, but I think it's a good way because there's several groups. If you bought a home and you have a home, do you need to sell your old home? Then your price will be more right. You won't be saying my home is worth more. Let's get the home off the market. I want to sell. So there'll be more sales in that way. If you have sold your home and you have cash in the bank and you need to buy a new home, you go out and buy a new home. You have 2 kids, if I remember correctly.
I got 4 now.
4. So do I. Okay. So 4 kids. Let's say you have a 3-bedroom flat home. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you have 4 kids. That's 6 souls. Now you and your wife are sharing a room, I hope. One of your kids, you have an office, so your kids are sharing rooms. And you're being successful. You want to move. You want to either build on or buy a new home and all that. There'll be new business, and I think the people will there'll be a lot of work involved. Now the question I think is for our industry, who's going to be out there? And we're both part of an ecosystem that we believe in that is training us, and we're also in a philosophy of what's try and improve ourselves and try and be the best possible. First as a human being and second as a professional. So those that invest in themselves here in the heart, here in the mind, and they should be able to ride the wave. Mm-hmm. I think there'll be a lot of agents who will be leaving the industry. 1, because they don't know what to do. 2, they're going to go bankrupt. And 3, they want to get a regular 9-to-5 job because they can't take the stress anymore. Which is also good for the agents, because if you're a good agent, I hope I'm a good agent, but you'll have a chance to you'll be able to ride this out. My personal goal is to ride the wave. Worst comes to worst, I retire early because I have retirement funds when I was working with somebody else. That's the worst case scenario. Because I just I won't be eating. I can still choose if I want a steak or I want to eat dog food. So I still have that choice. Yeah. And I'm just personally, I'm just preparing myself, just to make sure that I'm meeting with people like you, Ray, and I've had different Zoom meetings with different members of our international community, just to maybe I can learn something outside Israel and implement it locally to be that early adopter and the first place person.
So what's one piece of advice that you would give another agent who's looking at all this COVID-19 stuff? Maybe they're at different phases. Some countries are completely locked down, dealing with the pandemic different ways. Some countries are still kind of open and kind of operating. I don't think anyone is normal right now.
What is normal?
Right. There's a new normal. So what advice would you give another agent who's looking at this that may not have the pedigree or the life that you have so far that kind of prepared you for some of this? What would you tell them?
First of all, just talk. Your current database, your current customer list, your current the homes you are currently on your listing portfolios. Talk to your customers just to see how they're doing. First of all, if you're going to be showing a home, be sensitive. They might, as agents, we want to make the sale. I got to make the sale. Well, your sellers might not be on the same page that you are. They might be concerned. So you have to respect their decision to see how they are. And if you're going to be, if they're not interested in having a showing, well, then you have to start looking at the digital aspect. How am I going to show the home without bothering my seller? Maybe go out and, if this is a time, which I didn't do any Matterports on any of my homes, and I don't have walkthrough videos. I was doing, I have all these really, I think I have good still pictures. I've made them into a Magisto video, going from room to room and all that. But if you want to do something, if you have the time to go out and prepare the digital material when you need to work from home, you need to show your home in a virtual way,
Mm-hmm.
and this is the time to go out and do it. Start getting your photos. If you don't have good photos of the home you want to show, do it now. If you need to have them box brownied, then do it now. If you want to take your phone and your gimbal and do some walkarounds, do some recordings, do some editing. If you have a videographer, take them over. If you want to do the map, anything that you can do now on your existing listings,
Mm-hmm.
or the homes that you have under contract, under contract is a different term, but that you're in your portfolio, I would do it now. Think about how you're going to, maybe one of the things, I don't know, was it on Tom's thing? I'm listening to different people talk differently, but
Mm-hmm.
one thing would be, to do a Zoom meeting with the buyer. Let's say you can't enter the home of the seller. So teach the seller in a Zoom meeting how to show his home,
Mm-hmm.
and then do a Zoom session with the seller walking around with the self stick or whatever,
Right.
or even like that, and just have them very slowly practice recording the room and all that. And then with that information, you can prepare maybe some digital material to show your home in a new way. I think we're going to be finding ourselves in a short term definitely working differently. We might find ourselves paralyzed. I'm semi-paralyzed on work. I'm just keeping myself busy. Not working 4 hours because
It seems like now is a good time to also do all those things that have been on our plate that we've wanted to do for so long, but didn't have time to do.
now you have time.
Because now there's a lot of time.
Another thing you can tell if you have these potential sellers, for example, they have time to fix up their homes.
Yeah,
they have times to paint, if they are repairs, they bring in a repair guy who's not afraid of working and all that.
Right.
Or getting rid of all decluttering. Your customers who want to sell, and they might find themselves in the market might flip on them, get kind of funny for a short term. I'm saying for short term, you can coach them in how to, and maybe who's ever watching can coach their sellers to prep for the post, because then when obviously in the States, it's really important more in the States than in my market for the homes are properly staged. In Israel, it doesn't always work that way. It's not always important because no one's going to go out and do a refurb on their home before they sell it, because the value buys it and do it differently anyway. So why waste the money?
Interesting. Yeah.
So I haven't seen almost any homes that didn't refurb it. What we did when I sold my house and we moved, we painted and we replaced the wall sockets and the light switches that all be clean and functioning. Didn't change my lightings, didn't change anything in the kitchen and all that. Just decluttered a little bit. And so this is an opportunity for agents that they can work with their potential sellers, mm-hmm. just to get them to work, because there might be a slowdown.
Yeah. Well, I love that tip that you gave about visiting with the seller. That was one thing that we were kind of thinking about, is using the seller to show the house, and even doing a Zoom call with the buyer and the seller, and just tell the seller, don't say anything, don't put the camera on you, show us your house.
Yeah.
And just kind of walk through with them. If you don't have any digital media yet and you find yourself locked down, that's a great option.
Yeah. And I was talking to the woman I was supposed to do an open house for today, and I go, look, I called her just, look, the open house is off. I'm doing it at home. I'm just doing some messages on Facebook and all that. Yeah. And there's no open house, right? My house isn't ready. I go, no one's going to come to your home. No one's going to leave the house. If they do, just don't open the door for them. Don't let them in.
Yeah.
But I go, what I like to do is do a Zoom thing like that, maybe have you show the house and record. He goes, no, your photos are fantastic. So if you don't have really good photos, or you have no digital material, this is indeed the opportunity. And not all your customers are going to be tech savvy or techophiles. They might be tech phobia. And so you have to, I don't know how many homes each agent has or each office has. You take to the ones with the best chance of selling it or the best material, because and use that just to keep yourself on top of mind and all that during the. That's
good.
It might be an opportunity also to grab listings. Those that are thinking, you say, this is the time. Let me sign you up now, and I'll get all this material out there as fast as possible. And when we have the lockdown, I can still work and sell your home. But it's it's an energy thing, and obviously it goes back to trust. Those people we all know. A home that I'm trying to recruit this week, and they goes, I don't know you. How can I trust you? I go, that's why we need to meet, because you don't know me, and you don't know if you can trust me. So you have to, anything in the process so that you're not just out to make a buck, but you're out to give service and welfare and care, because it's all about, we're people managers. You're a people manager.
That's good. Well, thanks so much for taking the time to visit with me this morning. I appreciate it. And I guess it's not morning where you are. It's morning where I am.
It's 4:30 in the afternoon. Yeah.
It's evening where you are. But thanks so much
time
for
zones.
taking the time to visit with me. And, we'll keep in touch, but I appreciate all the information, letting us know what's happening.
Happy to. And Ray, if you have any other questions or any of your followers want to go, contact you and ask to get some more information or the company director, I'd be happy to help. There's life after this, I hope. But you just have to just play it smart, and just go with the flow, and because if you don't, it's not going to make a difference. You have no control over it.
That's true. Well, thanks for joining me. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye, my friend.
I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Howard, and if you'd like to connect with him, click the links in the description.